LPBW's Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler recall his dramatic hospitalization. I remember everyone being panicked, dear loves. Welcome to TLC Drama. Please do subscribe my YouTube channel. Matt Roloff and his fiancée Caryn Chandler are reflecting on his recent traumatic health scare. During Tuesday's episode of Little People, Big World, the 62-year-old is home recovering after being hospitalized for problems with his esophagus. "My esophagus has been acting up here and there. It's been happening for a couple years. What happens is, it seems like it's sort of closed off at times, not every meal but not really sure what brings it on," he explained in a confessional. "The esophagus gets mad very quickly and generates phlegm. It just bubbles up like a volcano until it comes out. It's shocking. It's very, very dramatic." Doctors recommended Roloff undergo a routine upper endoscopy to figure out the problem. According to the Mayo Clinic, an upper endoscopy is a procedure used to visually examine your upper digestive system using a tiny camera on the end of a long, flexible tube. It's typically done to diagnose and sometimes treat conditions that affect the upper part of the digestive system. However, Roloff said the routine procedure didn't go as planned. "That was kind of traumatic," Chandler said as Roloff admitted he doesn't remember much because of the medication. "Well, they had told me several hours because you got sedated and they were going to do the test, and then I walked downstairs to get coffee and my cell phone rang. They were like, 'He's out, you can come back,'" she recalled. "The doctor came in and he said there's been a complication. We are concerned that we may have perforated his esophagus." Roloff added, "I remember everyone being panicked. There was panic in the room." Chandler said she got a weird vibe from the doctors and asked what happens next. They then performed a test on Roloff in order to determine if they perforated the esophagus wall. "They did the test and you drank the stuff, and as you drank it I could see that it didn't show a perforation," she said. "But I could tell the doctor thought that could have happened." Chandler admitted that it was more of an emotional experience than a physical one after realizing Roloff would be okay. Doctors also said Roloff has a lot of damage from acid reflux and that he has a normal-sized esophagus rather than the average size for a little person. "I feel like I went in all good and came out all bad," Roloff said as he dealt with a stomachache at home. Due to their limited stature, they've faced various medical issues less common in people of average height. The family has navigated numerous health challenges over the years. But now that Matt and Amy are getting older and are both in their 60s, they're starting to run into issues more frequently. During a season 25 episode of Little People, Big World, Matt had a health scare after a routine upper endoscopy went awry, and there were concerns he had esophageal damage. So, what exactly happened to Matt and how is he doing today? Plus, we take a look into Matt's medical history, which included several corrective surgeries throughout his lifetime, and how his dwarfism differs from the type his ex-wife and son have. In May 2023, Matt visited the doctor for a routine endoscopy after experiencing a sensation of his esophagus closing off and producing a significant amount of phlegm. In response to these symptoms, Matt underwent a routine upper endoscopy, a procedure that uses a thin, camera-equipped tube to examine the upper digestive system. This particular incident was shown in an episode of season 25 of Little People, Big World. But just a few minutes into the procedure, doctors alerted Matt's fiancée Caryn Chandler that there had been a complication. She was told that they were afraid they had perforated the wall of Matt's esophagus. They quickly ran some tests to check his esophagus and confirmed that it hadn't been punctured. However, doctors came to an unexpected realization: Matt's esophagus was too large for his body. Despite Matt's small stature, doctors discovered he has a normal-sized esophagus. This unexpected size difference caused the esophagus to become kinked. A confessional, Caryn explained to Matt, "So the doctor said yours is longer than your body can handle, so it's pushed to the side." poor little esophagus all crammed in there and kinked over. Additionally, doctors identified that Matt had significant acid reflux damage. Matt explained that the doctors did stretch his esophagus out to alleviate the closed-off feeling he was having, which was a plus. However, this seemed to only be a temporary solution. Fortunately, Matt appeared to bounce back quickly from this health scare involving his esophagus, revealing on Instagram at the time that he only took a few days off from work. However, he did note that more work needed to be done on him medically, although he didn't clarify what that entailed. Matt appears to be in good health and has since recovered following this scary hiccup, but it's unclear if he's still struggling with health problems behind the scenes. Amy and Zach suffer from the most common type of dwarfism, achondroplasia. According to Boston Children's Hospital, people born with achondroplasia have short arms and legs, an enlarged head, and an average-sized trunk. Meanwhile, Matt suffers from a type of dwarfism called diastrophic dysplasia, which is much more rare. It affects the normal development of cartilage and bone, often contributing to shortened limbs and mobility problems. I had a rough childhood. Not from a family perspective but just from orthopedic surgery, spending long periods, sometimes months, in a hospital with very limited access to your parents, Matt revealed, noting he spent over 700 days in the hospital as a result. It was just the way they did it back in those days and going through some very painful operations. So I do think all of that sort of built up a muscle of resiliency and gave me a sense of can-do and tenacity. But despite all of the various corrective surgeries that Matt had in his formative years, he still can't stand up straight or walk without the help of his crutches. Given today's advancements in technology, someone born today with Matt's type of dwarfism likely wouldn't need an extensive amount of operations like that. That said, the high number speaks to how vastly different diastrophic dysplasia is from other types of dwarfism. As for Matt's family history, his parents Ron and Peggy and sister Ruth are of average stature. However, his younger brother Sam has the same form of dwarfism as him. Matt also had another brother named Josh, who was born with a severe heart and lung defect. At the time, doctors weren't even sure if he would make it out of the hospital alive. Fortunately, he did, but Josh's medical challenges ultimately led to his early death at age 34 in 1999. Little People, Big World stars Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler recalled the scary experience when he was hospitalized for esophagus problems. "My esophagus has been acting up here and there. It's been happening for a couple years. What happens is, it seems like it's sort of closed off at times, not every meal but not really sure what brings it on," Matt, 62, explained during the Tuesday, April 2, episode. "The esophagus gets mad very quickly and generates phlegm. It just bubbles up like a volcano until it comes out. It's shocking. It's very, very dramatic." Doctors eventually recommended that the Roloff patriarch undergo a routine upper endoscopy. The procedure is intended to examine the upper part of the digestive tract, according to the Cleveland Clinic. "They had told me several hours because you got sedated and they were going to do the test, and then I walked downstairs to get coffee and my cell phone rang. They were like, 'He's out, you can come back,'" she continued. "The doctor came in and he said there's been a complication. We are concerned that we may have perforated his esophagus." After Matt noted there was panic in the room, Caryn shared she felt a weird vibe from the doctor. The doctors then performed a test to determine if they perforated Matt's esophagus wall. "They did the test and you drank the stuff, and as you drank it I could see that it didn't show a perforation," Caryn, who announced her engagement to Matt in April 2023, explained. "But I could tell the doctor thought that could have happened." Following the test, the doctors assured Matt and Caryn that he would be okay. They explained that Matt had a lot of damage from acid reflux and explained to the couple that he had a normal-sized esophagus instead of an average-sized one for a little person. "I feel like I went in all good and came out all bad," Matt added, noting that he experienced a stomach ache once he got home. Matt revealed he had undergone the surgery back in May 2023. "Last week was a bit rough, went in for what Elle thought was routine upper endoscopy to check out my esophagus," the TLC personality captioned a photo of himself in a hospital bed via Instagram at the time. After noting that the procedure didn't go as planned, Matt jokingly said they found some unexpected twists and turns leading down to the stomach. From the beginning, those who have been watching TLC's Little People, Big World practically watched the Roloff kids grow up on screen through the years. Now that Amy and Matt's children are adults and have families of their own, viewers are as invested as ever in their well-being, especially that of Zach Roloff. Zach married Tori Roloff in July 2015, and they currently have 3 children together: Jackson, born May 2017, Lila, born November 2019, and Josiah, born April 2022. Like Zach, all 3 of their kids were born with achondroplasia, the most common form of short-limbed dwarfism. However, their middle child, Lila, has some additional health-related conditions. Lila currently appears to be doing fine, but she's faced her fair share of health struggles. In addition to having achondroplasia, Layla also has strabismus, a condition where the eyes point in different directions. She currently wears glasses to help treat her condition. Layla also had difficulty hearing at one point. In February 2023, Tori expressed concerns about Lila's hearing after she failed a hearing exam at the doctor's office. "They were worried that she has water behind her ears and that she maybe couldn't hear us," Tori said on social media at the time per The Sun, adding, "There's a possibility that it could be contributing to her delay in speech." Fortunately, Tori shared an update shortly after that showed that Lila's hearing had not been compromised and it had just been a fluke. But that's not the only health scare that Zach and Tori have had with Lila. During season 21 of Little People, Big World, the doting parents were concerned that Lila might have hydrocephalus, or a buildup of fluid inside the brain. However, they later received word that Lila did not have hydrocephalus. Zach, however, does have this condition, which is most commonly treated with the insertion of a drainage system called a shunt. The reality TV star first got his shunt installed at just 16 months old. In 2006, he underwent corrective surgery for the device. For years, he continued to have terrible migraines but wasn't sure what caused them. During the season 25 premiere of Little People, Big World, Zach had to undergo emergency surgery to have his shunt replaced after waking up with a debilitating headache and then starting to vomit. Upon arriving at the hospital, he learned that his shunt had 2 cracks in it. Zach said during an April 2024 episode of LPBW that after sleep study, Lila's test came back, and she has a moderate form of sleep apnea. Tori said that they hope the sleep apnea will go away after Lila gets her tonsils taken out. According to the National Institute of Health, sleep apnea is a condition where a person's breathing stops and starts during their sleep. The most common form of sleep apnea happens because a person's airway keeps getting blocked while they are sleeping. It has been 1 year since Zach Roloff had a serious health issue that nearly cost him his life. In 2023, the Little People, Big World star was rushed to the hospital when a shunt that had been placed in his brain years prior had failed. "It's been a year since Zach almost died," his wife, Tori Roloff, said on the February 15, 2024 episode of the Raising Heights podcast. "I get woken up that morning at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and this nurse goes, 'Your husband's getting moved to ICU.' I fled in a panic to ICU," she added. Those crucial moments were extremely scary for the couple, and Tori Roloff said that she really thought that her husband wasn't going to pull through. "And when I got to you, Zach was there yelling my name. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, he's dying, like this is it," she recalled. After being admitted into the hospital, Zach Roloff underwent emergency surgery. It wasn't until doctors began the operation, however, that they found out that Zach Roloff's shunt needed to be replaced. In early February 2023, Tori Roloff took to Instagram to share the news. Zachary had emergency shunt revision this morning. It's been a scary 72 hours, but he is doing well and recovering, she captioned a post that included some photos from the hospital. A few days later, Zach Roloff posted an update after he was discharged. "I am back home and recovering. Thank you to everyone who has reached out or came by the house to support Tori and the kids. It's been an emotional week, but hopefully on the road to recovery. I had a shunt revision surgery after getting really sick. The shunt has always been something I've had but became very real this past week for our family," Zach Roloff captioned an Instagram post on February 12, 2023. Zach Roloff is grateful for the care that he received and he's really thankful to be feeling much better these days. "I really feel like with spinal stuff, fluids, shunts and of those issues, the brain, headache, the idea of a migraine, it's hard to pinpoint sometimes," he said on the Raising Heights podcast. "We're up on a year on that and I haven't had a migraine since then," he added. Zach and Tori Roloff were a big part of the Roloff family's TLC reality show from the beginning. However, following a feud between Zach Roloff and his father, Matt Roloff, involving the family farm, it seems as though tensions are still high. Rumor has it that the couple will not return to Little People, Big World for another season. Obviously, they moved away, and just with all the indifferences, they're kind of doing their own thing, Caryn Chandler's son, Connor, told the U.S. Sun in September 2023. "I did hear through the grapevine that they do not want to be on another season if the show were to continue, and they just want